The airline industry is still trying to recover from the pandemic. While people are flying again, the numbers aren't anywhere near what they were before COVID hit. Some people are turning their backs on commercial flights and taking private jets. I talked with the president of a private aviation company who says their business is up 29% from last year.
In terms of private aviation, we feel, I think we feel very lucky that our business have come back and seen an uptick in the surge.
Leona Key is the president of VistaJet US, a company that flies almost 80 private jets to nearly every country on Earth. While major international airports such as SFO are still struggling to recover, VistaJet says regional airports in places such as Lake Tahoe, the Wine Country, and Monterey are in high demand. The planes can be available within 24 hours and get customers closer to where they want to go without many of the hassles and potential exposures at big airports.
There, on average, there are 700 touch points when you're flying commercial from point A to point B, through the airport, including if you need to use the restroom, you purchase food, et cetera, et cetera. So when you're flying private, you go through an FBO, you go to an airport, or in some cases, you go to the airplane directly from your car. The touch point is only around 20. So that's 35 times less. So that's, I think, a big reason that where a lot of people start to flying private. As a matter of fact, 70% of our incoming inquiries are coming from folks that were never flying private before.
But don't expect to pay the prices you'd get on Southwest.
Our cost is anywhere from $12,000 an hour to $25,000 an hour. So it is much higher than flying commercial. So that's something that people, when they're traveling, need to take into consideration.
Of course, that's for the whole plane, not per seat. Jets need to get to the passengers, and that can mean they sometimes fly empty. VistaJet says in those cases, it will offer up seats for humanitarian efforts, such as flying stranded citizens home.
So during COVID, we donated our empty legs to different governments. And one of those flights that a government that took was New Zealand government. We took New Zealand citizens from the Philippines back to Auckland.
So I know those prices were for the whole plane, as you pointed out. It's still pretty steep.
Sure, $12,000 an hour, but if it's got 20 seats in it,
true,
and you got a flight that's maybe less than a couple hours, in some situations, it might make sense, especially if you're particularly concerned about COVID and other issues. But again, it's not cheap, but there are people who can afford to do it, especially
and
big
they're
business,
doing it.
And they're doing it,
yeah.
So business is booming.
All right, interesting.